Hey witches, welcome back to the channel. Once again, this is Hectarios. In this video, I'm going to answer a subscriber's question. I was thinking about, I have like 2 questions here to answer, but I think that this video deserves its own, this question deserves its own video. So, I'm going to go ahead and cover that on this video. So the topic is something that I find a great topic, a great question. However, it's probably controversial because I think every witch has their own opinion and view on this. But the question is from Miriam Mercedes. She asked me if I could do a video on the rules of engagement, when to influence, bind, banish, and or curse, and what are the ethics of doing any of this. So as you can see, that's a loaded question, and once again, this is going to be pretty much individual to every single witch, to every single person. We all have our own opinions on things like this, and we all have our own ethics. We all have our own moral standards. And not only that, but we also, we all have our own limit when it comes to these things. Like, there's only so far that people will allow their self to be pushed before they snap, morals or not. So that's important to keep in mind at the beginning of this as well. You could have very high moral standards. You could be someone that, thinks that cursing is wrong morally, but you could still get pushed to your limit, and you can still snap, and you can still curse somebody, whether you think it's morally right or wrong anyways. So keep that in mind as well at the beginning of this. But I also want to preface this by saying this video will contain my own opinions and my own views and perspectives on these things. So I'm going to start off with the order of how you asked it. When to influence, bind, banish, or then curse. So just to clarify, she's asking this because I had put my other video up recently on the Doom candle, which now I know what Doom stands for, yes. D-U-M-E, it's not Doom, D-O-O-M, like someone put in the comments. The candle says D-U-M-E on it, but now I know what it stands for. It stands for death unto my enemies, or destruction unto my enemies. So I had put up the video recently about using that candle in the capacity of destruction, not death. And she put that comment, this comment under that video asking this question. And in that video I had said a little bit about my own stance about, cursing people. I'm very tolerant. It takes a lot for me to get to the point to where I snap and want to curse someone. And I will try various other techniques, things, and methods before I resort to cursing someone. First of all, I'm sorry, it's Mercury retrograde. I'm bound to get tongue-tied in this video. First and foremost, I try mundane means of dealing with people and situations. Okay, magic is not my go-to fix-all for everything. I like the joy of solving a problem of my own merit, of my own mind, of my own actions, of my own words, okay? I rather enjoy that process. So to me, magic is not something I just automatically resort to in any situation for anything. First of all, first and foremost, that is important to say. Now, once I have exhausted mundane means of getting a result, I might then start to resort to magic. And so the first thing that I will do is will try, she pretty much asked this question in order of what I would do. I would first try to influence the situation. If that didn't work outright for whatever reasons, then I would step it up to binding. Once again, if that didn't work out right, then I would then step up to banishing. And if that doesn't work out right, or if they cause harm to me or to someone that I care about, if they cause harm to a client or something that I'm working for, then that's when I would curse anyway. So I guess that's like a simplified answer as far as the cursing aspect. I don't curse unless someone causes harm. If someone causes harm, then I will curse them, regardless of if influence, binding, and banishing works or not. I would do a justice curse on them if they have caused harm. So that's where my morality stands on that. And if they have not caused harm in any way, if they're just annoying, if they're just irritating, if they're just, doing other minor things, I would not be cursing them. I would do binding or banishing work, depending. So another thing to say towards the beginning of this is every situation is unique. Every single situation that would come up that would resort in this type of magic is unique. It's always going to be unique. And so that's why I discard the Wiccan read. That's why I'm not Wiccan, because they have the Wiccan read harm none. Okay? And so that is sort of like an answer to every single situation. And I don't believe in that. I think that every single situation is unique, and it will require you to react uniquely, not react in the same way every single time. So to say harm none is to limit yourself, and to say that you can only react in this one certain way to every single situation. So if someone comes breaking into your house trying to kill you, harm none is not the answer. It's not. Okay, it's not. It can be for you, I guess, if that's, what you want. But to me, in my perspective, in my opinion, in my views of life, I'm not going to let someone kill me. I'm going to fight back. I'm going to do something. Okay? So, of course, that's an extreme example, but, for the sake of getting the point across, that's my views on it. And that's pretty much, the majority of witches who don't follow the Wiccan read. That's the reason why. It's because we don't believe that harm none is the answer to everything. There will be times when you need to fight back. Okay? Now, the severity of that, how far you go, whether you just do bindings, whether you just do banishings, whether you just call the cops on someone, that's up to you. But, you have to acknowledge that at least if you want to live and survive in this world, that there will be times when you have to fight. Okay? So I'll say it like that. And so, once again, to reiterate, every single situation is unique. And so our reactions, our judgments, our moral, ethics, our considerations should be taken to the fact that every situation is unique. So this is a hard question to answer, with a one-size-fits-all type of answer, because really there is no answer like that when it comes to my perspective. Every single situation is unique, and you have to analyze it, and you have to decide for yourself in the moment, dealing with that situation, what is the best thing I can do right now with this situation. Because there are many times when you can deal with situations that are negative. You can deal with people that are negative by doing a positive spell. You could, if someone's an annoyance in your life, for example, you could cast a spell for them to find love. You could cast a spell for them to get hired at a new job that takes the majority of their time. And so that would still serve sort of the same goal and agenda of banishing, but without actually doing a banishing work. Rather, you would be doing, a job spell or a love spell for them, and that would still take them out of your life to a large degree. They'll be spending more of their time invested in that. So I'm still going to put that under the I'm still going to say that that's an influence spell, because you are still influencing that person. But, think about these things, guys. There's lots of ways that you can deal with problems in a positive way that benefits the other person as well as yourself. So, of course, those are the type of things that I will try first. When it comes to situations where the person is just an annoyance or an irritation in my life. However, once again, if the person is causing harm, I won't treat it so nicely. I will, start off with binding. I will start off with banishing type work, and then cursing. It all just depends, what is the extent of what they are doing. Is it causing harm? Okay, those are the type of things you need to consider. Once again, in my perspective, in my views, ask yourself some simple questions. What are they doing? What are the effects of that? Is it harming me? Is it harming anyone else? Is it harming themselves as well? Ask yourself questions like this and see, what answers you come up with. See how that makes you feel. More or less, if they're a person that's causing harm, you're going to get a defensive, protective reaction from within yourself. And I think that that's for a reason. I think that we should honor that feeling. If we get that type of feeling, if we get that type of energy, then that is a clear indicator to you for your morality that it is okay and necessary even for you to do something to defend yourself or to protect someone else. So that's sort of my take on this. Let's see. So yes, if the person is, I'm just going to break this down to a little bit more examples to hopefully get more clarity on what I would do and how I would react to situations. So once again, I would start off with influencing spells if they have not been causing harm. I would start off with influencing spells, just to get their attention on something else from messing with me or being in my life or messing with my clients or family or being in their lives. If that doesn't really work out, like if you do a love spell for someone to distract them, but they're just a repulsive person, you know, more than likely a love spell's not going to work. No one's going to be attracted to that, no matter how many love spells you do. So once again, you know, you have to analyze the specific situation itself. You have to analyze who is that person, what are they doing, what are they like in general, because that's going to start to give you some shape. It's going to start to narrow down what your options really are for handling the situation. If they're a person that's just like a loser and lazy, then more or less, not more or less, what is the word? Most likely doing a job spell for them isn't going to work out because they're lazy and they're, you know, a loser. So even if they get the job, they might end up losing it. Okay, so you have to consider all these different things when it comes to your approach. Once again, in my perspective, this is once again how I would view these situations and how I would deal with them. So, you know, if they're just an all-around repulsive, shitty person, then doing a positive spell to help them in their life as a means of getting them out of your life, you know, most likely that's not the answer. You will have to resort to binding work or banishing work to just get them away from you or from your client or from your family. Okay? So, you know, analyze these things, analyze these different aspects, and see the answers that come to you. Okay? So, first of all, you know, if I am in a situation where I have to do something and positive type workings aren't gonna cut it, then yes, I will start off with simple binding. So I would just do a binding spell on the person to get them to stop doing whatever it is that's unwanted. And, you know, if that doesn't work, you know, typically another thing to consider with this topic is this someone that you want to keep in your life? Is this a relationship that you are benefiting from in some way and that you want to keep in your life? Is this a relationship or a person that you love, but they're just doing a negative thing, or they're doing something that you don't like? Okay, because if that's the case, you're not going to want to banish that person. You're going to want to just bind them, maybe. Okay, or try the influencing magic. But then again, at the same time, if none of that works, you'll have to ask yourself, you know, is this person that I love, but that's doing this negative thing, you know, and the bindings and influencing isn't working, so they're still going to keep doing it, you know, is this will be a question that you have to ask yourself, you know, is it worth it then? Do you have to keep that person in your life? You know, weigh the pros and cons in that type of situation. So, you know, this is such a complex question because every single situation is unique. Every single type of person, type of relationship that you might find yourself wanting to do this kind of spell work in is unique. So, you know, you just have to answer these questions on your own, truly, and see where it fits, see where things fall into place for you, for the situation, for that relationship. Usually when I resort to binding, I do a banishing spell and a binding spell together. Because if I resort to binding someone, you know, it's more than likely it's someone that I'm not going to want to keep in my life anymore regardless. So I would usually do a binding and a banishing spell together. Okay, that's how I usually do it, but you could do them separately. Many people do them separately, and that is fine as well. So once again, another thing to consider is you can do banishing spells on someone's behavior. You don't have to bind them from doing something. You could just aim a banishing spell at that specific behavior that they're doing. So there's also different ways that you can approach these type of spell works as well. So I don't want to make this video too long, but to touch upon the second part of the question again, like what is the ethics of doing all of this? Once again, this type of spell work is, individual to the witch. What are your ethics of doing this type of work? What are your, moral standards to this type of work? Because it's going to be unique to all of us. And I know a lot of Wiccans who follow, the Wiccan Rite of Harm None, but they still use binding and banishing magic. They don't necessarily curse, but they do binding, banishing, even justice spells. So, that just shows you that it all depends on the individual morality of yourself. Now, I know for you, Miriam Mercedes, when you asked this question, you also had said you have stopped yourself a lot from doing these type of works. And you're wondering, is that like shooting yourself in the foot when you stop yourself? Are you causing yourself harm when you don't protect yourself, when you don't defend yourself? And that's, a good question too. Even to the people who follow the Wiccan Rite of Harm None, that includes harming yourself. So if you're not defending yourself, if you're not protecting yourself, you are to a large degree responsible then for all of the negative things that happen to you. Okay? You're making yourself a doormat to it in that regard. So yes, it is like shooting yourself in the foot. In my opinion, standing up for yourself is a part of life. Okay? It is what it is. That's the world that we live in. So, for you in particular, Miriam Mercedes, who asked this question, I think that, your moral compass is good. You just need to trust it. Okay? Don't stop yourself from doing this kind of work. If you feel within yourself that you need to fight back, then do it. Okay? Trust that instinct. Trust that, feeling within from your gut. Trust your own thoughts about it, your initial first thoughts about it, telling you to fight back. Okay? Now, once again, be conscious of this process. Okay? Be conscious of the severity of what you're doing. Is it justified to what they've been doing to you or been doing to the people that you love? You don't want to go over the top. Okay? Don't become immoral in the process. But, fight back if that's what you're being called to do. That's what you feel to do. If that is that what you feel as a reaction, then do it. Okay? That's my take on it. That's my answer to this question. Yes. If there's any kind of secondary questions you might have, or any more specific questions to specific situations or something, leave that in the comments below. I will answer, some questions, but I'm not going to do like a full consultation for anybody, because I do charge for consultations. So, that that's going to be where I really do answer questions that are really specific to your situation. So, you know, I might answer some questions below when it comes to specific situations people are dealing with, but, you know, if you really want to be sure that I answer you, get a consultation from me, okay? You can contact me in the methods in the description box below, through my email, through Facebook, or through Instagram. I also do spell work services and tarot readings, so you can get more insight. And once again, I do consultations, so I can answer more specific questions about your specific situations. And you can get in contact with me for any of that through the methods below, okay? So I hope that you found this video helpful in some kind of a way, Mary and Mercedes, but also to everyone else that's watching as well. I'm not necessarily interested in hearing anyone else's opinions, so don't come on here commenting like anything like that. You know, it's not going to change my opinions on this. So yes, I'm just sharing and responding to this question, okay? So I am going to do another video on another question that was asked of me, that I also think deserves its own complete video. So that'll be coming up next. Alright guys, see you on the next videos. Hail to the witches, hail Hecate, and blessed be.